All right, we had a slight rain delay here. We just started the 50-plus mixed gold match. This is Rusty House from Pickleball Channel. I'm joined with Steve Pirano. Steve, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks. This is going to be exciting. First gold medal of the day. We got 4 superstar senior players here today.
Score is 1-0-2. We are at the Minto U.S. Open Pickleball Championships in the famous and glorious open air arena. It's able to cut a little bit, but hopefully the rains will hold off. Score is 0-1-1. The teams we have on the court, if you're not familiar, 0 and 2 serving.
Side out.
That's a tough one. There's some debate on if the motion of the serve has begun before they finish saying that third number. 1-0-1 back to Brian.
So this is about as good as it gets with 50 and over players. This could actually be a final later in the week when we have the senior pros.
Exactly. For those of you who haven't seen it, Cammy MacGregor already has 2 golds under her belt this week in singles senior pro, and yesterday in the women's doubles 50-plus. The teams, for those who aren't familiar, in the pink and blue are Gigi, LeMaster, and Steve Dawson. And on the other side of the court, with the black is Brian Staub, and in the purple tank is Cammy MacGregor.
You're going to see Brian reset as many points as he can until he gets to the no volley zone. He just did that right there.
There's a little bit of a mist coming down. The players are wiping their feet on the court. So it's starting to get a little bit slippery. They're uncertain if they want to keep going or not.
And Gigi's just coming off a knee surgery about a year ago, so she's probably really concerned about slipping.
All right, and we're going to take a timeout, go to music. It'll be quiet, and we'll come back to you soon. We're beginning once again. We're continuing. 0-3-1, Steve Dawson serving Cammy MacGregor.
So Rusty, this match is going to really depend on who can dominate the kitchen area. Because this level of play, they're all going to be, all 4 of them are going to be up at the net almost every rally because they're all so good at getting there.
And to catch people up a little bit, we are coming back to a game already in progress. There was a rain delay. This is the mixed 50-plus gold medal match. We might be having some little audio issues here.
1-3-1.
So it's the mixed gold medal match. Score 1-3-1. All right, there you go, a little rally. So this is Rusty House from Pickleball Channel. I'm joined by Steve Pirano, helping me commentate from Portland.
Thanks for having me here, Rusty. This is going to be a great match.
Score is 1-3-2. Serve just a little wide. That's pretty uncharacteristic for someone like Gigi who's been playing so long. There is a slight cross-court breeze, but not that much.
3-1-1.
Score is 3-1-1. Up and a fall.
You had 3 points.
So some of these teams are stacking and they're moving around, and it seems kind of obvious, but I've done it before. If you serve in the wrong position or the wrong side, it's a fault. So the players are joking a little bit.
Yeah, Brian knows he made a mistake there. He's kind of smiling about it right now, but it's a mistake actually these guys don't make very often.
Cammy returns hard. There you go. And
So,
Steve.
So Rusty, you know, we have three top players, 3 of the top of these players. These are all great players, but 3 of them all were accomplished tennis players. Gigi, who's serving right now, actually her background in sports in high school was as a volleyball player. So she actually has the most unorthodox pickleball style of these players, but that can also be what makes it hard to play against Gigi.
We have a dinking session going on here. We'll see at some point, trying to keep that ball low. Oh, Oh, Gigi frustrated there. The ball a little too high. Cammy was moving to the right. She tried to go behind her and hit the ball out. Kind of a smile and a frustrated nod. It's a little difficult. They've had a chance to warm back up, but they started, and then this long rain delay.
Yeah, it's like starting. It's just a new match.
1-3-2.
Score 1-3-2. Cammy gets it in. Steve gets it. Brian between the legs
Nice.
over the net.
So there's a tennis phenomenal shot right there
my
that Brian
gosh.
just hit.
Oh,
And he
some
misses the
exciting-
easy one.
exactly. The crowd yells. He gets it over the net. Actually, a pretty low to the net, even though it was
Right.
between his legs.
2-3-2.
Steve Dawson serving.
I'm noticing
Brian
Steve has
Staub.
gone a lot to the backhand serve today.
Again, the ladies dinking.
See how early they're taking it.
Cammy tries.
Pigeon. Side out.
So there's a call that an experienced ref calls, Rusty. So he had his feet 1 foot inside, and when he jumped, he didn't land before he hit the ball, and so both
3, 2,
feet
1.
weren't established in the area behind the kitchen.
Exactly, and that's a hard one to call.
Yep, because it looks like they're so far back when they hit the ball, which they are, but they're in the air.
Once again, Gigi and Cammy dinking across court.
Second serve.
There you go. Gigi is a consistent. She's been dinking for years and years and years, and like you said,
3-2-2.
she calls herself the ugly duckling of pickleball because she never played tennis, and
Right.
she just started out and developed her style. Great hard shot down the line. It's in. Steve Dawson gives an applause to his opponent for a good shot taken.
4-2-2.
So Steve is playing against Cammy, which is a member of his club.
Yes, so interestingly, in the... We'll let it heat up here. Up. So Steve and Brian won gold in the men's senior pro here last year. So you have doubles partners who are now going against each other. And as you said, Cammy in the purple tank and Steve in the blue shirt both live in North San Diego County. Right now they've got them pinned to the back. They're trying to make their way up front.
Nice reset by Gigi.
Both of them moving well together. Again, Brian going back and forth to Gigi, not having success, so he went to Steve, but now we're back on Gigi. Oh,
I'm a little surprised that Gigi chose to keep going back to Brian, but it worked out.
well, maybe they watched that video you did about the cross-court
Yeah.
dink being
3-4-1.
Well, she does have
better
more
margins
room.
for error.
What I was thinking is that maybe she does not like to go straight across with Cammy. Cammy, that might be her strength.
Well, and just as evidence right there, if that ball's just high enough, Cammy can flip it over. She hits it a little bit quicker there. Steve gets it back.
4-4-1.
And actually, what I like to tell a lot of people, it wasn't that it was so high, it was just too far. A lot of these, so,
Heating up. Brian.
a lot of these top players can hit balls from below the net as an effective attack if they can reach it out of the air, which just means it was hit too far,
5-4-1.
not too high. So you got to really keep those dinks short.
Scores 5-4-1. Oh, there you go.
Again, I think Gigi feels real comfortable about going cross court. She even did it on the right side.
6-4-1.
Scores 6-4-1. Steve serving to Cammy. It's a hard third return. Again, hard. Cammy deflects. A lot of hard balls at Cammy right now. Now cross court to Brian. Oh.
Point.
So on mixed doubles day, Rusty, you see a lot of the men driving the third ball more than usual, more than the rest of the week when it's just men's doubles or mixed up or women's doubles.
Scores 7-4-1. Oh, ball rolls on the net. Cammy gets it. And now the ladies are going back and forth. Oh, net ball, still good. Now Steve and Brian, back to Gigi. Brian goes for the attack, a little too high. Steve's able to dodge out of the way. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the Minto U.S. Open Pickleball Championships. The rain has stopped, the court is dry. The score is 8-4-1. in the mixed 50 plus. There you go. So that's 2 in a row. Brian tried to attack a little bit, and both opponents were able to dodge out of the way.
And Brian understands probability, and I think in his head he probably thought there's about 60% chance I'm going to win this point right now if I do it. He just happened to miss.
9-4-1. We got a big lead. I'm be interested to see if Brian and Cammy call a timeout. Up for the lob again. Oh,
see, and I really like what they just did there now. Even though Steve missed that, he was going to run it down and only turn it into a dink. He's going to reset. And did you notice that they did not switch? Tennis players will switch on that. Pickleball players know they're going to reset the point.
This is possibly a game point here.
Side out.
All right, that's a big side out, a chance for Cammy and Brian to come back.
4-9-1.
So it's 4-9-1. I stand corrected. It's 9, not 10. 4-9-1.
Second serve. 4-9-2.
4-9-2. Still a chance to put some points on the board. Oh,
Wow.
shut him down.
Great hands, great reflexes by Steve.
So here we go, 2 points away from game number 1.
9-4-1.
Score is 9-4-1. Gigi serves. Third shot a little too high, Brian. Keeping them pinned back. There you go.
Second serve.
A little too far. They were attempting to reset and get the ball in the kitchen and just went a little too far.
So it's far
9-4-2.
easier said than done to try to drop and reset it, but they weren't able to, and now we're on second serve. 9-4-2, and here they go.
That was nice reset with Gigi right there.
10. So once again, now we are at possible game point 10-4-2. Digging back to Gigi. The side, pulls Brian off to the side, back to Gigi, and filling the hole. Brian gets it. Gigi's keeping him back. Cammy volleys it back. Hard. Oh,
Side out.
Good point.
that wasn't that difficult of a shot. Steve
No.
Dawson normally would have got that, but just a little too low into the tape. Big side out. Chance again to turn the game around.
Gigi
4,
was actually
10,
moving
1.
the ball around perfectly. Gigi's known for dinking with a purpose. She just doesn't just dink the ball over. She has a purpose with every
She
dink.
goes pulling Brian to the side again. Up.
Second serve.
Second serve. The score is 4-10-2.
4-10-2.
Again, Brian and Cammy trying to get some points on the board.
Side out.
There you go, side out. Well, a lot of wrist in that. Steve Dawson kind of.
A little bit, but the reason he could do that, he had time. The ball was a floater.
Yeah.
10-4-1.
Score 10-4-1. Possible game point.
Second serve.
Probably a little frustrating for Gigi there, but that was a
10-4-2.
pretty straightforward. 10-4-2.
Whoops.
Side out.
You saw that as soon as he came off the paddle,
Yeah,
didn't you?
yeah.
4-10-1.
Back to the other side. Scores 4-10-1.
Again, what a
Pulls-
great dink to pull the
pulls
man
Brian
off
Ride
the court.
Just over the net to Cammy. Steve's waiting to see if it's going to come back to him. Oh,
Nice
Oh.
reset.
yeah, Steve dug that out. Now we're back to the dinking again.
This is what's great about pickleball.
Ah.
Well, a little long. You don't have other racket sports where you reset like this, and that's what makes this sport interesting, is going from quick exchanges to resets
5-10-1.
to dinking.
When people talk about the third shot drop, but really it's a drop shot that can be used at any time in the game. Oh, Gigi's a bit frustrated about that, letting out a little frustrated laugh.
So Gigi was taught how to play by pickleball legend Steve Wong about 7 years ago now, so I watched her game from the very beginning.
Trying here again to close this out. Brian and Cammy are holding them. Once again, dinking. Gigi. Oh, just hit the tape. So finally getting off of 4.
7-10-1.
Yeah. I'm actually really surprised that we're not stacking with the men being on the dominant court on that.
Cammy
On the
fires
odd
back
side.
at Cammy fires back at Steve. He can't return it. So the game's starting to turn around.
8-10-1.
Scores
Yes.
8-10-1.
Never count anybody out at this level in pickleball.
Second serve.
Second serve. Now Steve and Cammy, what are they thinking after not being able to close out that 10-point a little bit?
8-10-2.
Steve and Gigi.
Steve and Gigi,
Well,
yes.
they're thinking let's just get it back and serve.
We got the dink session going again. Steve enters into it. Back to Gigi. Try to the lob.
Dink.
Steve keeps it up. Oh.
Wow. So the reason they got back in that point is Steve Dawson ran it down and hit a dink.
Way back in the corner,
Right.
awkward positioning, and he was
Right.
able to drop it. And Gigi rightly covered the other side of the court, was able to keep it in play, and here we are. Possible game point. Oh,
Second serve.
Brian pushes it back. Steve makes a good attempt, but it's not quite able to get it.
10-8-2.
Score 10-8-2.
Side out.
You know, this week Gigi is used to playing in Arizona, and the ball isn't quite this soft with the humidity we hear. And I think a lot of times
Brian fires back a third drive.
when Gigi's
Second serve.
dinks are going a little short from the baseline,
uh-huh.
a lot of it's because the ball's really mushy today.
Yeah. And people in the past, once again, we're at the Minto US Open Pickleball Championships. We are on the Zing Zang Championship court. It's an open air arena. The rain is gone, the court is
8-10-2.
dry. It's actually very mild right now. Not much wind, a nicer temperature. And we're at game number 1 of the mixed 50 plus. Scores 8-10-2. We're in a dink session. Brian Staub in the black fires away.
Great hands by Brian.
Some quick volleys into the net. Now we're commanding lead that Steve and Gigi had has been closed down. We are 9-10-2.
Oops.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have
Yeah,
a tie
we have-
score.
Good match.
As you said,
10-10-2.
This is one of those matches that no one could predict before the match started.
yeah,
So
yeah, it's evenly balanced. Once again, the dinking. Let's see who's going to accelerate it first.
someone hits one slightly long, then someone will accelerate. That's when they go for the pops. Right now, no one's hitting one long enough.
Reset the point again.
Yeah.
Oh, dropped in. Just over the net.
Oh, great point.
That was pretty to watch. But the control, I've heard spectators walking by and they said, oh, I don't have the patience for that. And there really is. The importance of patience is underestimated.
That's one of the components you need. That's one of the recipes to good dinking, but you also have to have technique. These players are taking very little swings and very little wrist. They're presetting their wrist where they want the ball to go. Wow. That was some comeback.
That was a turnaround. So game number one, we will come back to you after the break, everyone. Stay tuned. We're at the beginning of game number two of the 50-plus mixed doubles gold match. Game number 1 went to Cammy MacGregor and Brian Staub in the black and purple tank, playing against Steve Dawson in the blue shirt and Gigi LeMaster in the pink and gray. This is Rusty from Pickleball Channel.
1-0-2.
I'm joined by Steve Pirano from Portland. He's really an icon in the game, in my opinion. You are an icon,
Well,
Steve.
thanks, Rusty. Is it just because I'm old and been playing longer than everybody, or?
It's for a number of reasons.
Okay.
Side out.
So, fun fact for those of you who don't know, Steve's dad, Arlen Peranto, developed the first modern paddle. You can actually see a little history thing on the Pickleball Channel, and Steve was instrumental because he said, hey, Dad, we need a better paddle.
I think Dad's at home listening, too, and watching.
Well, thank you, Arlen, for all you've done.
White.
And again, folks, here we are, trying to bring you some information coverage. Thank you for your patience today. We've had rain issues and technical issues, so hopefully whatever we can get is good enough. Scores.
One thing, Rusty, I'm surprised, strategy-wise, that these guys aren't stacking with the men on the odd corner taking over the court. I'm thinking it's because their women are so good that they're trusting their women partner. And, and that's really a new trend in the last year or two, where the women are getting so good that the men are going to take more court, but they're not taking the entire court like we used to see in the past.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great topspin back.
Definitely, both of these women could destroy me on the cart. Actually, everybody on this court could destroy me.
Well, these 4 players could well easily be in the pro senior finals this week.
Score 4-1-1. So Cammy and Brian off to a lead, a little different than the last game. We had a comeback. In this one, we're starting the opposite direction. A lob.
Reset.
Great.
Did switch on that one.
Steve's still back, trying to reset again. This time with a little bit of a quicker thing. I think caught Brian off guard a little bit there.
Yeah, when Steve reset that, this is something all the players should know back home. People think he must be so fast to get to that ball, but Steve is actually buying plenty of time by letting that ball fall.
Yep.
And that way he buys another second to get around that ball to hit that third shot game.
Yeah, so those drop shots, if you're young and fast, you can hit a stronger, faster drop shot. But you don't need to.
No.
Once again, we're dinking Cammy. Back to Steve, back to Gigi. Cammy's going for the lob again.
That one's out.
Now,
but you see
a
how
little bit
Steve was so ready to run that down.
He was, and Cammy might be playing unfair, if you want to say. I don't know. She knows Steve. She knows he's had an injury, actually. So he just got out of a cast, I think, last week. It's possible his orthopedist might say he shouldn't be playing, but he's moving really well, in my opinion. I think he's going to have a knee replacement coming up.
Never, ever let your opponents know you have an injury.
Unfortunately, they're friends from back home, so... And Steve's competitive. I think he'd take advantage of it as well if it was turned around the other way.
What I admire most about Brian's game is his ability to reset from, we're now calling it the transitional area. Tennis players call it the no man's land, but that area between the baseline and the volley, volley zone.
Brian a little frustrated, very uncharacteristic of him. You can see it on his face to have a pretty straightforward return going to the net.
Sometimes they come in streaks like that.
Exactly. Yeah, both teams right now doing a few into the net shots. Brian's return. Cammy is able to deflect. Drop it. Here we go again. Let's see what happens with these dinks. Oh, we were behind, so for me it looked close, but since we're on the other side of the ball, the line judge called that out.
Yeah, and that's one of those things when you're sitting where we're at. It's called parallax. We actually can't tell.
Second serve.
Okay, we have second serve coming up. Brian Staub serving.
4-5-2.
Steve, the score is 4-5-2. Cammy tries to drop it in there, reset it to Steve, comes across to Brian, pulls him over a little bit. And they both back up defensively. Oh, two little flips on the net. Oh, we're back into it. Backing up. Cammy gets it still. Oh.
Side out.
It's nice to see. Both Gigi and Steve gave an applause to their opponents. That was a good point.
5-4-1.
Cammy and Brian were able to come up twice, but ultimately lost that point. The score is 4-5-1.
Most of these players have played each other so many times, played tons of rec games together. They're all friends. And when they're not playing against each other, they're rooting for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, barely gets over the net. Steve returns it. Back to Cammy. Trying out that lob again. Same spot. Oh, hits the tip of Brian's paddle.
Point.
Just high enough. It just mishit that on the edge. Oh, wait. There's a question on the call. Okay, call stands.
They're making sure they're in the right spot.
6-4-1.
HR's asking a question.
Oh, what a great.
Point.
Just hit the seam right between the two players.
7-4-1. Second serve.
So not only do these players have to have great eye tracking skills with the tracking balls,
Yeah?
but they have to have great vision, peripheral vision, because that open spot,
Yeah.
that was seen with peripheral vision, because they're focusing on the ball, but the peripheral, they saw there was a little open.
Side out.
And just in case we have some people watching who aren't familiar, the reason why both teams are going up to that white line that separates the red at the net, that's the non-volley zone. The only time you can hit the ball in there is if it bounces. So the game is won and lost at the net, but really it's when your feet are along that non-volley zone. So every once in a while when we cut to our wide shot, you'll see that red section there. When we drop the ball in there and it back and forth. Oh, hard return by Brian.
And these top players know how to get so close to that line without going over.
5-7-2.
Remember, when a ball's bouncing in there, they can be in there early if they know it's going to bounce. They just can't hit the ball.
Oh.
So you have a little pop on that, but just a little miss.
Yeah. And Cammy, earlier this week, I think I'm going to set it, she's won 2 golds already.
7-5-1.
She's going for gold number 3. Scores 7-5-1. Brian hits it back to Gigi, and the dinking begins again.
Point.
That at 2, uncharacteristic. Brian reaches forward to take that dink out of the air, which is often is great. It doesn't have to bounce. You can lean forward,
8-5-1.
but doesn't quite get it over the net.
So as a teacher, I always have my students ask me, when do I hit the ball in the air and when do I let it bounce? And my rule of thumb is hit everything out of the air that you can hit unless your balance is compromised.
Right, and so here Cammy was taking, I think, almost every one of those out of the air, but just a little bit of an error. I don't think that was too far, just she wasn't quite happy with herself, which is why she's looking up to the sky, rolling her eyes. 9-5-1. Right now they're trying to get this second game to force us to go to 3.
Second serve.
Second serve. So again, Gigi LeMaster in the pink and gray, Steve Dawson in blue.
Correct.
Checking to make sure he's on the right side, the
9-5-2.
right box. Scores 9-5-2, and they're trying to close this out. Oh, Brian tries to kind of pull Steve to the
I
side.
saw that ball in.
Oh,
That is side out.
referee
little bit-
overrules
No,
it.
I'm sorry, ref error. Yeah, my bad. We'll replay that serve.
Players hate that when the ref calls that from that position and overrules a lineman that's on the line.
Hold on here until the break.
It's 9-5-2.
So he's replaying the
9-5-2.
point rather than getting side out. All right, Brian goes back thinking they were going to attack, but it comes right back up. So we got all 4 here dinking. Some great example of, like you said, strategy of the dinking. They're
Oh
not-
no, they have a purpose with every game. You don't
Oh,
just play catch.
try the lob, but Gigi jumps up and gets it. Go to Steve, back to Gigi. Here we go. Up, up, up. Try that lob again. Oh, oh! Steve gets it back.
Reset again.
He's trying again,
Reset. And they're trying to get in. onto
and he does
reset.
it. Holy cow!
And
That
so,
was good.
Great example of resetting, saving the point.
Drop number 1, drop number 2. He moved up each time. That was classic. Again, if the first one doesn't get you there, try another drop. Oh, 10-5, end of game number 2. We are going to 3, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back soon, and thanks for watching. We are in game number 3 of the mixed 50-plus gold medal match at the Minto US Open Pickleball Championships. Cammy MacGregor and Brian Staub on the left court. Gigi LeMaster in the pink and gray, and Steve Dawson in the blue. We got our first point. It's Rusty from Pickleball Channel here. I'm joined with Steve Pirano out of Portland. Coach.
To be here.
Thank you. Steve's a coach and longtime player. He's been in some Pickleball Channel videos. He's been gracious enough to help us out.
Hey, you've been to my house.
Exactly, and actually on the court, I've been trying to do videos with Gigi, but Steve Dawson, Brian Staub have all been in. Cammy MacGregor helped feed balls to Steve in a video because she was there. So there's a lot of familiarity from these players. Brian and Gigi are probably the longest playing pickleball players here, whereas Steve and Cammy are newer, coming from tennis. Cammy is the tennis pro at the Omni Lacoste Resort in North San Diego. Steve owns the Bobby Riggs Tennis and Pickleball Club in Encinitas, where it actually has the Bobby Riggs Tennis Museum.
I think that's a great story, having a famous tennis club turn into a pickleball club.
Oh, big overhead by Steve. A lot of power that. His knee and hip or whatever doesn't seem to be bothering him at all.
1-1-2.
Steve does has a style where he conserves a lot of energy the way he plays in his footwork. So
Point.
I would say an injury would hurt him less than a lot of other people.
Well, I just look for excuses for how bad I play. So I always have an injury in the pocket there.
Most of the top players actually move less than the lower level players. Lower level players are moving way too much. These people are shuffling, taking a shuffling step, getting still, and then hitting.
Yes, if you watch their feet in this dink session, rarely are their feet crossing over.
Right, that's a last resort.
Sort of you shuffle step to the left, shuffle step to the right, but I obviously watch it more than I do myself. Bob Youngren, who's been coaching people forever, calls me a Jack Russell Terrier because I just spaz out and I run around the court.
1-2-1.
So now everybody knows Rusty the Jack Russell Terrier, crazy pickleball player. All right.
Second serve.
So game number 1 went to Brian and Cammy, but it was a bit of a comeback. Game number 2, Steve and Gigi.
Point.
In game number 2, Steve and Gigi held the lead all the way through. Now we're in game number 3, tied up at 2-2-2.
Wouldn't be surprised if it went down to the wire, Rusty.
How many what?
So, if you notice, Gigi's the only one with her finger straight down the paddle, and she actually, there's 2 different grips where people are putting their finger on the paddle.
Yep.
She's actually using it.
Steve goes around the post,
I think he
and
missed.
Just wide.
But actually, Gigi's actually using an Eastern grip with a finger straight down the paddle.
Gigi's actually, I don't know if you can see it, but Gigi's talking to a ref thinking the shot before was out, talking to that line.
3-2-2.
So we're resetting, the score is 3-2-2.
How you doing? Hey, buddy, good to see you.
So we're in the middle of game number 3. It's heating up with some dinking. Another.
Kitchen.
Same thing has happened earlier, Rusty. So when he took off and jumped, he had a foot on the no volley zone.
It's really tricky. We actually made probably one of our longest pickleball 4-on-1s, trying to cover everything about foot faults in the kitchen. A few weeks ago we made that. And when you push off and the one foot comes up, both feet have to come down before contact.
You know, they're training the refs on that now, and that was something refs would miss every single time years ago.
So we're back to that dinking. It's Brian to Gigi. Oh, trying to do a little lob. Brian just misses it. I said it in other matches, and I don't know how you would comment. I believe the lob is potentially one of the most underrated. A lot of people think, oh, lobs are just for old, low-level players.
No, but it's when to use it. And depending on the wind, depending if you're indoors or outdoors, you see much less outdoors than you do indoors.
Second serve.
In fact, I just wrote an article for Pickleball Magazine about lobbing, and it's the W's of lobbing. So, when to lob, where are your opponents standing, and wind are 3 big contributing factors to effective lobbing.
And both of these teams using them strategically and well. I think they've been a part of each team winning. So we're back to a dinking session here. Cammy and Gigi now going back and forth a little bit more than the first game. Gigi really moving Brian to the outside. Oh, she tries to go around the post.
And she was ready.
There you go.
Side out.
So
We got the crowd
in the
into
background,
it,
yeah, I think John Germstad jumping and pumping his fist.
He loved that one.
So the crowd a little bit hushed here. They're, you know, kind of, this game has a little bit more of this chess feel to it. Earlier, we've seen some faster, more aggressive play, a lot quicker on the attacks, whereas these guys are waiting a little bit longer, a little bit more strategy.
I think
The
you
score
see
is-
that more with seniors. They're going to have to rely on a lot of strategy and great dinking.
Accelerated, Cammy keeps it in play. And again, lob.
And that lob set up that way.
Yep.
Now, you know, to get here, to play in the stadium, you're supposed to play outside where wind affects play a lot more. I bet you they didn't use many of these lobs earlier today.
5, 2, 1.
And the wind really has died down, even in the arena. The past few days, one team always had the wind at their back. Right now, the flags are handing pretty flat.
Well, this
Okay,
is
we're
always
switching
your goal.
sides. We're going to go away for a minute. Okay, we are back. So just to clarify, in game number 3, the teams switched sides at 6.
Time.
So the teams have just switched sides.
Time in.
You always feel a little bit better when you've got to 6 first on the switch.
Awkward shot. Brian's able to keep it in play. And we're going back to some dinking. Just high enough. G's able to attack. We're coming in on second serve. Brian Staub in the black is serving to Gigi LeMaster.
2-6-2.
The score is 2-6-2. Nope.
6-2-2.
Missed call. The score is 6-2-2. Brian and Cammy have a score of 6. And again, Steve and Gigi.
So that's a seam,
think they-
Rusty. You saw a little seam.
Yep.
And that, again, that's peripheral vision that looks at that. He's looking at the ball, but his peripheral, he knows there's a little seam there. He was scanning the court before he hit that, before he was engaged with that ball to know that's open.
Steve and Gigi were just far enough apart that he was able to hit into that hole and landed deep in the backcourt.
Point.
Steve and Gigi hit a deep return, but
8-2-2.
just too long. The score is 8-2-2. Interestingly, neither team has called a timeout in any of the games so far. It'll be interesting.
Well, that usually means they're not going to change strategy. A lot of these timeouts are to change something. So they probably all feel like they have the right strategy.
2-8-1.
They just have to execute it.
Steve coming over a little bit more. Gigi way over.
Steve's past the center of the court right now.
Playing singles almost
And-
here. Oh!
Oh, amazing.
Gigi gets it back. Oh,
So there's a good example. Cammy, when she wasn't engaged, knew where Steve was. Saw that Steve was so far over, and she was just couldn't wait to put a paddle on a ball to hit it behind Steve.
all right, ladies and gentlemen. This could.
Side out.
No.
8-2-1.
We're back. Cammy serving. The score is 8-2-1. We are towards the end of game number 3. Progressed pretty quickly. Oop. Brian runs over to Poach,
Right.
but Steve is able to.
And I think that was a great play Brian made. In his
Yeah.
head, he's going, I'm going to win this 70% of the time, and he probably would have.
8-2-2.
Yeah,
It just didn't work out that way.
yeah. Steve got his hands up there, kept it over. The score is 8-2-2. Just a little too hard. And we've said it before, Gigi ducking. Do not think you have to hit every ball. Letting balls go could be the best thing you do.
It's one of the hardest things to learn. This is why, you know, I taught PE for 30 years, and I think dodgeball was a pretty important class.
Some people say pickleball's got a little bit of
A little
dodgeball in it.
dodgeball in it.
Score 2-8-2. LeMaster and Dawson trying to get on the board and change the score. They've been on 2 for a little while. There we go, 3. So let's see what happens.
Rusty, this year I certified a teaching pro. He's a tennis instructor, but he's also a current world dodgeball champion.
Side out.
And
See that?
he loves pickleball. I mean, you try to pop him with the ball that's going out, he's on the floor as quick as you could imagine dodging that ball. Great skill to have, dodging the ball.
And we're back on the other side. Cammy serves. The score's 8-3-1. Brian drives the third hard, but now he's going to try to drop it, work his way up. Cammy's up at the net. Brian's up at the net. Here we go with the soft game. Oh.
So Cammy thought she saw a seam,
Yep.
and Gigi knew she saw a seam and felled it.
But then Brian's able to return it, and they
9-3-1.
get the point. Scores 9-3-1, 2 points away from a gold medal.
Second serve.
Cammy hits it wide. We're moving on to the second serve. So Staub and MacGregor have one more chance
9-3-2.
here to try to take it home. Back to Gigi. Back to Steve. We're going straight. We're going cross cart. Up, little high. Steve gets it. Cammy goes to the side. Steve comes back, resets it. Oh, another lob. Oh, Cammy dodges, but it ends up hitting the back of the court. That's a big side out for them.
Yeah, Gigi jumped on that one.
Big side out. So, Gigi LeMaster and Steve Dawson
3-9-1.
have another chance to come back. The score is 3-9-1. Steve drives it hard. Steve's moving around the court a lot.
Wow. You say he had an injury.
Oh. Steve and Gigi were both 3 feet from the end of one side of the court. They scuttled back and I think got a little lucky there. The ball
That could have rolled either way. That could have went over the net. So topspin generally brings those over the net, and backspin sucks them into the net.
4-9-1. Another lob attempt hits the tape, and we're back into the soft game. Oh. Cammy. There we go. Now we're dropping it. Cammy hits it hard.
Great point.
There you go. That was fun. That was
Yeah, I
some
like
fun
to watch
stuff.
those.
So breaking the first serve. Now we're on the second serve. The score is 4-9-2.
You know, breaking that first serve just makes you feel so much better in your head when you're the non-serving team.
Yeah, right. And again, for those of you who may be new, you get 2 serves. Each player gets a serve per turn, and you only score when you serve. So you break serve number 1, break serve number 2, and get a side out, which is why there's only 1 point being called when the team serves.
Oh. Cammy wasn't actually expecting such an easy ball. That's what happens. He was expecting a more difficult shot.
Yeah, it's almost like a knuckleball
So
there.
she wasn't ready for that. It was just the last place that she thought Steve would hit the ball to her.
9-4-2.
Score is 9-4-2. She drives it hard.
Catch it.
Oh.
Brian tries to poach, and he foot faults, and it was long anyway. So now we have a side out. Once again, Steve and Gigi are going to have a chance.
4-9-1.
Lob deep in the back. Cammy returns
Nice
it.
reset by Cammy.
All right, this is getting even more interesting. There's been some great pickleball, but side outs by Steve and Gigi weren't getting them points, and now they're getting points. The score's 5-9. We're down to a 4-point game.
Gigi was ready.
Timeout.
And we have a timeout. So, well, we'll see if that stopped the momentum, Rusty. That's why they called that timeout. That wasn't for any strategy. That was just to break a momentum.
Time in.
Well, and it's a great
6-9-1.
use of the timeout.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
see if it worked. You know, sometimes we see, especially in lower level play, a team can be up like 10-2. Sometimes you just got to stop them for a second, give yourself a chance. Oh. I think Cammy went to go for one of the lobs, but that one wasn't quite there. And
we called that a lob dink.
Yeah.
So what happened was she changed her mind.
Yeah.
7-9-1.
Here we're down to 3 points. 7-9-1. Dinking again, pulls Steve to the side.
Second serve.
Just pulled him a little too far.
You know, we did it.
He was still moving when he hit that one, and that's very difficult. They try to shuffle,
7,
get
9,
still,
2.
and hit. He just had to keep moving.
Yeah, yeah. And Steve is a good dinker. You know,
Oh,
he
yeah.
did a video with us on Pickleball Channel about how to improve your dink, some different tips. He tries to, at least he says, he'll tell you, he tries to never hit in the same place twice. You were talking about
I watched that video. That was a good one.
using your dink as offensive to move people around. If
And he
you
also
can't-
believes in hitting the ball very early in the no volley zone.
Second serve.
There you go. They're
Give
able
your
to keep.
opponents less time.
They were able to keep Brian and Cammy back. They never got up to the net.
9-7-2.
But here we are at 9-7-2.
Ooh. So Brian coming in front just kind of threw Cammy off a
Yeah.
little bit.
He went to poach. He didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I think blocked her vision just enough.
But again,
right.
Brian was taking probably a percentage
7-9-1.
gamble. It probably was a good gamble.
Side out, 7-9-1. Brian Staub in the black returning. Gigi back to Steve.
Oh, what
Driving.
nice topspin Steve just hit on that.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Second serve.
second serve. So folks, for those just joining us, we're in the latter part of game number 3 of the mixed 50-plus gold medal match at the Minto US Open
7-9-2.
Pickleball Championships. The score is 7-9-2. Steve drives it hard. Cammy returns it. Brian softens the game up, and now we're into dinking.
Ooh,
Side
again.
out.
Just hits the tape. And you're saying Steve
Well,
was
it's
moving,
just,
moving
he was
laterally.
moving, yeah, because Cammy hit such a nice dink.
Yeah.
And, you know, Steve's going to help out,
Well,
9-7-1.
covering the middle. And
and how do you hit it wide enough to make him move, but not so wide
why
that
we
it's
can
an
go
easy around the post?
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
As I say, easy around the post. You know, I think I've hit one in my entire life, but these
have-
top players tend to do it.
Do you have it on camera?
No, I don't. It's like a ghost.
Okay.
Only I saw it. My associate Steve is the technical director here, cutting between. I'd like to give a shout out to the Pickleball Channel team. We have lots of people here on site with cameras. We got people in California and other parts of the country monitoring the feed. So thank you, everyone. Oh, there
we
you go.
That's the match.
Thank you to my team. Thank you to these guys.
Wow.
Right now, congratulations, you guys. I got to say to you, this is gold number 3, right? How are you feeling right now?
I've got great partners. I'm feeling actually pretty good. A little sore this morning, but once we got going, the body's feeling pretty good. Thank goodness we have a day off tomorrow.
Well, there you go. There's some great stuff. Brian, you've been playing as well. You played Steve last year. You guys were partners, and you took gold. So playing against a partner in a match like this, how does that affect things?
Well, you know, what everybody knows what they're going to do. It's an interesting match, and it becomes very nervy at times, you know, a lot of precise shots. But you hang in there, and, you know, she stole my line. See, I tell people this. My college coach in tennis said, Staub, you know what the #1 rule of doubles is? I said, no, coach, I have no idea. He said, pick a good partner. Right before he looked at me, he said, you don't have that option, Staub. That's what true story.
And who's your good partner?
Yeah, Cammy's phenomenal. She played well.
You guys, it was great. So you're up and you're down, right? You know, there's some moments where you didn't stay ahead the whole time. So there wasn't a lot of timeouts. A lot of times people are taking timeouts, they're changing their strategy. Somewhere your gameplay did change a little bit. What were some things that you had to mix up?
Well, Steve and Gigi were just dinking so fabulous, and we just said we had to mix it up, keep Steve a little honest on his side, and wait for that one ball that we can, you know, go after. So really that's what Brian and I did on the timeout. We wanted to slow that, you know, game down in the third. We lost 3 points in a row, and Brian's like, let's take a timeout. So we did, slow the game down, just regather our stuff, and it worked out.
And for you, you've been playing pickleball longer. You're from Florida. What's it like to come to a tournament like this in your home state?
where can a 60-year-old ball man have this much fun?
Well, there you have it. The 60-year-old bald man having fun. Come together. Everybody, once again, another round of applause for our gold medalists, Brian Staub and Cammy MacGregor.